welcome to the Postmodern Art Podcast, the podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wowing the world over the platform they deserve. I am your host, Nathan Ragland. If you're watching this the week that is premiere, I hope you had a fantastic holidays and a Merry Christmas. But I have one more present for you guys before we end out the year. A fantastic, sensational conversation with, well, just a little guy, just a little gremlin. One that I know you guys are going to absolutely love. Today's guest is NCS Artist, an animator and artist whose animations, whether it be memes or their own indie series, GameCade, has always left their audience in stitches. This is genuinely a really cool conversation that I got to have, because I've been wanting to have NCS on the podcast for ages at this point. I'm pretty sure they were like one of the first guests I had on my like wish list of like people I want on the podcast. Regardless, it is great to finally get a chance to talk to him, because honestly, like, just based on the vibe that you guys will be getting alone, you will know immediately just how great of a conversation this is. If you enjoy our guest, please make sure you support him with the links down in the description below, especially checking out episode 2 of his series, GameCade. Yes, that's going to be like the first link that I put down there. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Leave 5 stars wherever you can. You know, I see that stuff, you know, it genuinely warms my heart. If you want to go a little further with that support, may I recommend you check out the merch shop at fourthwall.com. Link to that is in the description below. The holidays may be coming to a close, but that doesn't mean you can't get gifted yourself the fantastic apparel that we have at the shop with some sensational streetwear done by some outstanding artists that I know you would look amazing in today. And look, if all you want is a nice, cool, casual place to where you can chill, relax, meet other artists, showcase your artwork and all that wonderful, fantastic stuff, may I recommend you check out our Discord server, the Artist Sanctuary. The group that we have and are actually kind of growing there, it's actually really cool to see the people in there really getting better on my end with interacting with everyone, and I sincerely hope you take the opportunity to join that group and be a part of this wonderful community today. But now, without further ado, please enjoy the Postmodern Art Podcast.
749 sales.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, pretty good.
Hey, trust me, that is nothing to sneeze at more than anything else.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you constantly advertise it, but then like most of the like sales happen like at the last minute,
right?
Because people are like, oh wait, it's gonna be gone. It's gone. Yeah.
It's like, I'll get it later, and like, you know, maybe I'll have the paycheck by then. And then the time comes up, it's like, fuck, I guess it's now or never. Let's do this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Trust me, I get that whole entire that vibe or mentality as someone that has constantly tried to like sell his own merch with little to no success. Well, not no, but little success. I can understand the limited nature of making it actually work for you.
Yeah, I've had people ask like how to make like products work, and it's like it's hard to sell things, you know.
Yes, it is.
Like even if you have an audience, it's also kind of like, will that audience buy this thing, you know? Absolutely. It's hard to get like people to be like, oh yeah, I'll buy that.
It's hard to get people to really just like jump on board with whatever crazy and insane product, whether it be something they truly love. It's hard for people to invest money, period.
Yeah.
For better
even like even if like you ask like, oh, would like a poll like, oh, would you buy this, and like people are like, oh yeah, sure, I'd buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Not really.
It's well, I'll be honest, I would have bought one, but I got enough room as I got with the plushies that I have at the moment or whatnot. But I'm glad you got the gold one, seriously.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. Just getting the last little bit set up. I've already got some things recording, because this little bit I can easily edit out, because this is obviously a pre-recorded thing, and I edit later afterwards and all that stuff. It's not like, you know, your live stream right now on twitch.tv such no. Nah. Thank you so much sincerely for doing this. I'm not gonna lie, whenever I did the cold call, like just send you a DM to see if it would work, I'm glad that it did, because I've been really you've been an artist that I've actually wanted to have on here for like years at this point. So I'm really glad to get the opportunity to do this.
You. I mean, like, you DM'd me around the time I think the second episode of gamecade came out, and it's like,
Yes.
if it helps, reach out and like, I don't know. I've never really been asked to interview before, so I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I can try that.
Well, there you go. I'm
You
glad
know?
that I honestly hearing that. I'm kind of honored that this is this like your first
Yeah,
podcast to be on?
pretty much, yeah.
Wow. I am honored if that's the case.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I've been invited, like if you know Gianni,
Oh yeah, no,
Montegrano.
oh yeah, of course I know
I,
Gianni.
yeah, well, he's everywhere. But I've been asked like to join like one of his Fraggy Fridays, but that's pretty much it. It wasn't really an interview, just kind
Yeah,
of like,
it's just like a little
yeah,
live stream, just silly session more than just
yeah,
vibing more than anything else. No, I get that. I get that. But if that's the case, like if this is your first, I guess, interview style podcast or whatnot, again, I'm honored. This is really cool. Um,
yippee.
yippee! Um, I even got like the nice sweater for this occasion. No, I got
Yeah.
I got the sweater out for this one because this is the podcast episode that's supposed to be coming out the day after Christmas. So thought I'd look a little semi-festive, I guess, or at least like a bootleg Mr. Rogers.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't have my Christmas wear,
That's fine.
my holiday cheer.
I'm sure the holiday cheer will come through when we get to the questions or whatnot.
Yeah, I gotta get jolly.
There you go. All right, NCS. Before we really do get going, I must ask the icebreaker question of the podcast, if I may. Let's say
You
you get to.
may.
There you go. Let's say you get to go to a desert island on your own accords. It is just you, alone with your thoughts. You get to kick back, relax, breathe, get to truly enjoy yourself for a little bit. With accommodations, you're not like it's not like stranded on some desert island like you're castaway. It's like a little personal B&B paradise away from society for a bit.
Yeah.
To make sure you don't go completely insane on this island, you could bring one piece of media or one piece of art with you to help whatever kind of headspace you want on this island. If given this opportunity, what would that one piece be?
Um, like what do you mean? Like a device or like just internet
I
media?
was, I would say like it could be a device, it could be a movie,
Okay.
TV series, video game, whatever you
Um,
consider art or media. It's all within the realm of possibility.
oh God. Um, uh, um, probably just drawing. Probably just my iPad, I
Okay,
guess. It's where I've been on since I got my PC and like landed me in the place I am now.
valid.
If I can like do the things I still do now, which is like still draw on that iPad to like that isn't like animation related, and then like use Discord to just share stuff.
There you go. No, honestly, like again, I'm very loose when it comes to these rules of like one piece or all that
It's
kind of stuff. So like, yeah, no, you bring your iPad, you can still draw, you can still talk to your buddies while you're, you know, casually flexing that you're at this little paradise away from
yeah.
society. It's
Oh,
just
but I don't have my charger. Oh
we have
no.
we have the accommodations. We'll make sure it doesn't die on the
Oh,
island.
thank
Okay.
God.
There is a power supply at this place. It's not like you're in a little thatch hut with only coconuts to keep you company. Like it's again paradise away from society. Um, but
The government will fine me for not paying for the electric bill over there, and
I that's based on whatever shadow government put you on this paradise in the first place. They'll take care of that.
not thankful.
But regardless, is that your answer? Your iPad? You're locking that in?
Pretty much, yeah.
Then if
I
that's the
think so.
then if that's the case, I cannot think of a better way to start the Postmodern Art Podcast. Welcome everyone. I am your host Nathan Ragland. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. You would look fantastic in the merch that we have in the merch shop, fourthwall.com. Link to that is in the description below. And follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and most social media platforms at Postmod Art Pod for future updates and guest announcements, including today's guest. They are an animator and artist whose animations, whether it be memes or their own indie series GameCade, has always left their audience in laughing fits. Welcome to the podcast, NCS!
Hello.
How you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right.
That's good.
I'm alive
That you know
and
what
well,
that's all we could hope for at the end of the day. um,
pretty much.
I genuinely thank you so much for taking the time to be here. It really is more or less an honor to have you here, considering the fact that, again, your animations, again, whether it be the hilarious memes you post online or your own indie series that you developed, gamecade, like, I cannot get enough of your
Yeah,
stuff, and I could literally spend, like, hours just getting lost in some of the videos that you've posted in one form or fashion. Like, it's genuinely that good and that, like, hilarious what you're able to present. And I cannot wait to discuss all that and then some. But before we talk about the stuff you're doing nowadays, I want to go back just a little bit and learn more or less the origin story of NCS. What got you interested in art and animation stuff in the first place?
um, well, I grew up in a family of artists. Like my parents worked. I actually work at American Greetings,
Oh, wow,
which
really?
is the card company, and my mom used to work there, but now she got laid off, so she does like freelance, and she's working on a book series.
Oh, that's cool.
Um, um, but my stepdad still works there, and then my actual dad, he did a lot of art in his younger days, and like he mostly helps people get jobs now, but he does like on a side hobby draw like really realistic like pencil sketches of animals.
Okay.
But um in like the scheme of like me doing, I mean, I like a lot of through my years I used to do mainly just like traditional art. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think I got into digital art until like maybe like 2017 or 2018.
Valid,
Um,
valid.
I think, well, actually, let me see. Because I started on Instagram, I can actually probably look in my archives and see like what is the exact date. Well, maybe not the exact date, but oh yeah, 2018. Over like a summer.
There you go.
I started out with the iPad actually and just an Apple Pen. Um, and I don't think I'd be like have a social status if I didn't pick up Wings of Fire. And
Ooh.
if do you know what Wings of Fire
I
is?
don't think I know. I don't think I've heard of Wings of Fire before. What would that be, if I may ask?
It's a book series. It's a
Okay.
children's book series
I
about dragons and stuff.
Okay,
Like
now that you mention it, I think I've heard of it in passing, partially because, like, I've had guests on here that are huge fans of, like, Warrior Cats, and they would always say, like, Wings of Fire is, like, somewhere in the same, like, lineage, or, like, if people
yeah,
aren't fans of Warrior Cats loved Wings of Fire.
I didn't pick up Warrior Cats, but I really did like Wings of Fire, and
Okay.
of course everyone's like, oh, I didn't see a strong mostly draws reptiles. Oh, I don't know, something about that. Either way, I definitely grew up in that community, and I don't think I'd be where I am without it. And like, I've just mainly posted like on like NCS Artist was like essentially like just the first name username I came up for myself when making like a art account.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just stuck with that for all these years now, and I always get asked like, what does I don't know if this is on your question list of
Yeah.
what NCS means, and I always say uh make it up because I'm the only one that knows its meaning, and I always
Oh.
find it funny that like people you know try and figure out themselves. Some I've had some friends make some pretty bad abbreviations with it, but uh, it's mainly just whatever. I People can take it however they want. Like I've even in video games, like recently, I just recently like had was playing like an online multiplayer game, and someone
Mm-hmm.
like in the comms asked like, "What does NCS mean?" And like two people are ganging up on me. It's like, "Oh, it's a mystery." But um, but yeah, back on topic. I like kind of developed in the Wings of Fire community because like I would make a lot of memes, like just through digital art with like just people that would just people that knew what it was.
Right.
And uh, I actually started animating on my Apple iPad. Um, I used like I animated, and oh my God, looking back at my old animations, it's just so bad. Like I animated on it, again, I animated my on my iPad, and how I would do the frames. And people would ask me like what, like even in the past when I was still doing it, like people asked me like, oh, like what do you use to animate? And I'm like, I tell you now, like you will not do how I do it. And I use Procreate, the
Okay.
digital app on iPad. I keep mentioning iPad. I repeat myself a lot. Um, uh, I would use Procreate, and I would draw each frame. And this is before I kind of like developed or figured out a exact way of how I would do it on my iPad.
Right.
I would just screenshot the images that I drew, and like I would go back and forth and listening on the audio that I recorded, either from my phone or iPad, and just like, oh, should I draw this? Do I have to draw this frame next for like this sound that's playing here? And then I would again screenshot every single one of those and then put it into a video making app. Uh, and it was the choppiest thing. Like they like just the frames would move around, like just like a character that wasn't meant to be moving would be moving slightly. But over time, I figured out ways to do like kind of subtle, just the frames, and like I would make borders around the images that I drew just to like crop it at that exact like border so it wouldn't move around the screen.
Mm-hmm.
It was not really a good way of like animating. Like when I was in the like program, I would just place the images in like over top of like, oh, okay, this sound plays here. And like if you look back at like, I don't know exactly which videos, but like some of my old ones.
Some of the early
Uh,
ones in the NCS
yeah,
lineage.
yeah. I mean, I've thought about reanimating some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just be like, hey, look how bad I was in the past. Look what I do now. But I don't know. I probably won't do that. Um, what was I gonna say?
I mean, I was gonna say, like, regardless, like, I can understand, like, again, the early days, like, you gotta start somewhere, and I don't know how
Exactly.
well versed you were in other programs or other animating formats or whatnot. I mean, obviously it worked out for you starting out because I mean you were able to make some videos. I mean, I imagine obviously the more you practice, you built up a better system or somewhat of a better system on animating these days.
Of course. Like, I mean, like everyone always says, and I think this goes for even people outside of like animating,
Mm-hmm.
like just anyone. People who say like, "Oh, I'm not good enough," or like, like kind of relate themselves to other artists who are very talented and like where they're at right now, and like beginning artists will always be like, "Oh, I'm never going to be as good as you." And it's like, well, like you're not instantly going to like, you know, pick up like a style, and like it takes time. It
Exactly.
really does. And it's like, like like I mean, I have like my art style, so like some things in the past will look the same
Mm-hmm.
to how I still do today, but like there is definite difference in like quality of like how you do things now than how you did back then.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
I mean, I now animate on Toon Boom,
There you go.
which is you probably know what Toon Boom is. It's a digital. You talk to many artists, I'm sure
I have
you.
talked to several. I was gonna say like
Yeah,
I was gonna say with this episode I'm getting close to like 200 interviews with artists and such. So like yeah, I I can understand exactly where you're coming from with like everyone kind of having their own different way of kind of getting to where they are. Like they're not gonna to quote like a classic Game Grumps or whatnot, they're not gonna come out of the pussy, painting Picasso or anything like that,
Exactly. And many people are like, "Oh, it's a gift." It's like, no, not really. No.
It could be
Like
it
the
could be a
people,
gift.
yeah, I guess so. But I mean, like anyone can pick it up, and I think like if one of prime examples of like some like artists actually even getting upset over this was like PewDiePie
Yep.
picking up art, and people are like,
Yes.
"Oh, he's cheating," and he's like, "No, he's not. He's got nothing else to do other than make YouTube videos. He's doing this every day. He did this 100 days in a row."
Yeah.
And the thing is, he's only good at drawing faces. Like he tried doing like bodies at one point, and he wasn't really good at that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like everything takes practice, and
Yeah.
like it all takes time. And I mean, like looking back again, like at my old stuff, it's bad. Like I used to be like, oh, this is really good. I mean, some of it's still entertaining. It's like one of the things I like about animating is like I will like dread making a video. Like it
Mm-hmm.
sucks. I always like when I'm animating, I'm like, oh my god, I hate art. I hate doing this. And like after I'm done with it, I'm like, oh, I keep watching it over and over again. Oh, look what I made.
You have no
Uh,
idea how badly I am relating to you on so many different levels when it comes to this stuff. Because,
yeah,
like, like, for example, with this podcast, like I said, I've done almost 200 episodes of this podcast. I go back to some of the first couple episodes. I can't help but cringe so badly because I look at what I was doing then and, like, how fresh and how green I was back then compared to, like, nowadays, like, how much more comfortable I am with this kind of stuff. And then actually, like, getting to the episodes itself. The recording isn't bad. It's the editing that I just cannot do.
yeah.
But once I get going, I'm like in a zone, and afterwards I'm like, this was a good episode. This was fun. I'm glad I got to do this. Um,
I mean, yeah, I'm sure you're getting like a lot of experience talking like to different people and like I mean, it's not just artists that you talk to, right?
oh
I've
yeah.
seen you like talk to like voice actors too.
I talk
And
to artists of all different kinds. Like I talk to animators, voice
hmm.
actors, musicians. I've even talked to like wrestlers, like WWE style wrestlers, and having them
Oh
talk about
yeah.
how their stuff is like art in a way. Like it's really
Yeah.
it's always cool to get like that good variety of stuff. That's why I love doing this thing.
I mean, funny enough, you mentioned the wrestlers. I recently got TM'd by a WWE wrestler asking if they could voice act in gamecade, and
No, no
uh,
shot, no joke.
I
What?
was like, I was a little bewildered. Like, oh, it's I don't know how popular they are. I don't know anything about WWE,
Okay.
but their name is Brimstone. I don't
Brimstone.
know like I don't know what he does. I looked on his like Instagram account. He mostly just does like food stuff now, but like
1 second. I'm gonna
yeah, I
look this
mean,
up super duper quickly because the like I never heard of someone directly called Brimstone on WWE broadcasts or
hmm
whatnot, but maybe that's like the nickname he had on social media beforehand or
I don't
whatnot.
know,
Um,
but I mean like I haven't answered him yet, mainly because like I like at the moment I haven't started on any other episodes. I mean I have ideas, but like
okay.
uh at the moment like I don't have any extra like ideas for like character like getting new people and like more voice actors because like that's one of the things like I always appreciate but I always feel bad to be like oh sorry I can't really take you. It's like you get like lots of people who ask like like can I voice act and stuff, and I will always say I will say this because I'm not a voice actor. I don't really know how to like tell like give advice for this type of stuff, but one thing's for sure, like if you're asking to voice act and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you always have like a demo reel or like
Right.
some of your previous work or what you can do on display because like if I open your account and there's nothing there, I don't have anything to work with and I don't like know like oh is this a person to have it like interest in like should I pick them up? It's like if there's nothing there, it's like I sorry I don't really can't really you know
That's
go
valid.
with anything.
It's kind of hard to like give someone an opportunity if they don't have something to base on the opportunity
Yeah.
on. Um,
And the thing is, you don't have to have like previous work. Like
oh
a
yeah.
lot of demo reels are just people making up scenarios and like just talking and I mean, that's like how I like hired um Beth's VA.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew she, like on her demo reel, or not on her demo reel, the only other work I knew she did was like high pitched voicing, like with like Tails from Sonic, and I just kind of pushed her to do like the grainy Beth voice that's a little more lower.
Right.
And like I mean I've done that with all the voice actors. I love working with voice actors. And like that's the thing with like uh voice voice actors too. It's like they're very fun to work with if like they're like lenient on like actually working with you, of course. I mean like it's their job too, but like
Right.
like
Right.
discovering new stuff and voices. I mean like I know people like can very like whenever people are like, oh, it's like, is it the voice actor's talent? I also think it's also in the director,
Mm-hmm.
like to tell that voice actor like what to do. Because recently I was talking to myself on this, like I saw this really interesting game um called Heart Electric. It's very
Okay.
under the bridge at the moment, like it's in development, and they have this cute lizard girl, of course, like I said that, but
You didn't have to point
oh
it out. You.
yeah, I mean, if people are listening to this, they know who I am.
Right.
Anyways,
Right.
there's like this character that looks very like this cute lizard character that looks very like energetic and whatnot, and like they have very silly expressions, and like they showed like there was a video of like them showing their characters' abilities, and when it came to like the voice acting, it was just the most basic like I'm reading my lines,
Oh
and it's
yeah,
like,
I know what you're talking
oh
about.
man, this sucks. It's like no like harsh on like the voice actor, because like I know people can voice act, like people
Right.
can. It's just like you gotta like tell them to like, hey, put some oomph into it instead of just reading the lines. Because like even with like you know uh for one of the characters like in gamecade, I think boss,
Mm-hmm.
um I he fun fact, the one kobold moss video that I made with like the kobolds fighting over the moss, that's boss's VA.
Oh
Like those
really?
gremlin voices is his VA. I saw that and I'm like, oh, this is a really good voice actor. I want to use them for something. And I looked at his demo reel and I was like, he's very, very like he can do a lot of voices, and
Mm-hmm.
like he has so few followers, and it's like, man, like I forget what the word it is. The what word for like, being very talented but nobody really knows it.
Very
It's like,
very underrated, under the radar.
yeah, underrated. And like I mean, like at first when I like got in a call with him for voice acting boss, like we worked on that for like quite a bit. Like he didn't have the voice down until like probably like 10 takes of like trying rereading like one line, and like them trying to figure out like from there like what that character would sound like.
Right.
Um, I don't know how I got into voice acting. You asked like where did I start, and now I'm in voice acting, but
Look, I am always a person to where like when it comes to interviews or whatnot, you know you're the one that's more or less driving. I'm just the one with kind of the roadmap, and we'll eventually get back to the where we're supposed to be. But I'm cool with like taking a little side trip. And honestly, I love hearing about all these different aspects of where we got to this point where we're talking about. Like, I love
yeah.
hearing that like you grew up in a family of artists or whatnot, and especially the ones with
Hmm.
like the greeting cards and such, or American greetings and such,
Yeah.
which is it's really cool. Honestly, it's what's funny is I think that's only like the second time like greeting cards have been brought up in one of these conversations. The other time was the guy that eventually would go on to be the character designer for Spyro the Dragon, Jack and Daxter,
All
Crash
right.
Bandicoot, guys like them. Um, but like hearing that cool little start, obviously you really getting into like the animation aspect of it when it comes to the iPad and the early rough days of where we got to. Like it's really cool to hear that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
I am curious though, because like what exactly inspired you to want to get into the animation aspect in the first place? Like, I know you mentioned,
Oh yeah, I forgot to bring up that.
no, you're trust me. That's why I had that question laid out here beforehand, and we will eventually get to that point. But like, the book series that you had mentioned or whatnot, Wings of Fire. Please correct me if I'm saying that right, right or wrong.
Yeah.
But Wings of Fire, I know that was a good influence on it. But what exactly got you interested in wanting to even start on animating in the first place?
Um, I think like there's always like in fandoms and communities, there's always people who do like animatics
Right.
of little fun, like just over like pre-existing recording, and like I wanted to do that, pretty much. And I mean, like with how I started, most of my animations were very like not animation. A lot of my stuff was just animatic.
Right.
So I just started from there, and like I found some friends in that community that I don't really talk to anymore. I think it's definitely like kind of like drift off, but I've like I've kind of recently been in touch with a few of them.
Good.
But uh like in animation, like there was another friend I had that like did animatics, and we would like in like Instagram DMs, we'd just send each other like audio and just be like, "Oh, this is this character, this is this and this that."
Yep.
It's like
Yep.
pr- yeah, pretty much like just like and it was just like, all right, I think I was doing art every day, which like oh my god. I still kind of almost do that where I do it every other day.
Right.
I think I've kind of slowed down a little bit on that because it's eventually draining. But like, um, I would always need something to put out. So like, I just pretty much, yeah, I would just like take whatever and like, I mean, I was like a kid. I was young
Mm-hmm.
when that was around. So like, I mean, like kids have more like energy to do stuff, and like I was very like I I liked what I was doing, so I did it pretty much. And uh I was kind of the only animator in the Wings of Fire community at that time on Instagram. And I mean they're like it's funny to see, it's funny to grow up with Wings of Fire because there are a bunch of other people that have grown up with Wings of Fire as well. Like there's times where like on YouTube I'll see like a Wings of Fire animation and be like, "Whoa, hey, that's cool." Like there's like actual like professional animators doing this stuff. And it's like, oh wow.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I would just do that, and then like eventually, started doing stuff for like How to Train Your Dragon, and then eventually I just like I think it was, I don't know what year it was, but I eventually moved to Twitter
Mm-hmm.
mainly because I don't remember why, but I just wanted to expand myself. And I mainly grew popularity there by like making lots of fan art for other artists that had a status. I mean, it was smart. Like I would make little animations for them, and like they would retweet it, and like that's how I grew from there.
Mm-hmm.
And um, there was a lot of inspirations for like creating characters, and eventually like keeshee came along, and like
Right.
there was a lot of development in that. Like I mean originally like like wagon thieves, I mean I still plan to do something with that. I'd love to, preferably with glitch entertainment, but
Glitch, we know you're hearing. Come on. Just
I
saying.
mean I've been told from someone that works at Glitch that there were like openings to like give ideas, but that is probably not like open anymore because they have a lot of work.
Yeah,
But
I mean they're already
I
working hard with everything with Amazing Digital Circus, and
yeah,
we still haven't heard much about the other series that they had going,
Gaslight,
Gaslight District, which I want to hear so much
yeah,
about. It looks so cool.
yeah. I mean like um mainly like I was working on like Wagon Thieves. I keep like sprawling on to other stuff, but like for Wagon Thieves,
Mm-hmm.
I started that on like a second Instagram account where I wanted to do like a like I was really interested at the time into like the choose your own adventure stuff, and I kind of wanted to
Okay.
try doing that with like Instagram comments. Didn't really do great with that. It was a lot to keep up, and it didn't get too far. But like I kept that story, and I started turning that into my own thing,
Okay.
with own characters. And like Kishi actually started from that. They're not actually just like the goblin character or like that's the thing. I don't have a Sona. I don't have
Okay.
a Sona. Kishi is just my character. Like I don't. She's not me because like
Kishi's more like your mascot, but not you.
kind of, yeah, at this point, yeah. I mean, I still plan to like have her in Wagon Thieves if I ever do that, but
Hmm.
like I think I'm kind of at the mercy now of like if that actually happens, people will be like, "Isn't that the character that's from like those memes on YouTube?" It's like, wait a minute, this is a self-insert. It's like, no, no, it's not. I promise.
it's, it's not a
Uh,
self-insert. It's been like this all along. I promise. I
yeah,
promise. I, I
people
have
aren't actually saying this, NCS. You're just making this up.
I gotta derail for a quick second because honestly, I'd never even heard of Wagon Thieves before now. What exactly is this little concept or idea that you're brewing up as well? Because I was only aware of the one series, but I didn't realize you had another one that you've been toying around with for a while.
Um, so that one's like a medieval fantasy
Okay.
like setting, and I had a pitch, but that's somewhere. uh, I been working on it for quite a long time now,
Hmm.
mainly in my head and stuff. I like many people like write stuff down. I've just like I'm one of those people that just like has shit vaulted in their head.
I, I
Um,
cannot tell you how badly I relate to that so hard because like there's so many ideas I have brewing in my head, but the instant I try to write it down, it's like SpongeBob in that one episode where he's trying to write the essay and all he has written down is the.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, like yeah. Again, it started on a second Instagram account where I wanted to do my choose your own adventure, and uh, how do I talk about it? It's mainly just been like a me thing, like
Hmm.
very like kind of like in the beginning of my Twitter phase, I kind of shared some of the characters, but I think she definitely stood out more.
Hmm.
And I just kind of drew her more because like I also just had fun drawing her the most. I don't like some of the other characters are humans and like, funny snake lady. I just kind of like draw her more.
Right.
Um but I don't know, like um I haven't done much with it at the moment. Like
That's valid.
after I mean some people like actually mention Wagon Thieves now still, which amazes me. Like when I like when I was like advertising like the game episode 2 of gamecade, there were like some people like some of my followers that were like, I guess like Wagon Thieves is dead. It's like, oh wow, people still like like we're waiting on that. We're excited. Like I didn't know that.
I mean,
But
you'd be surprised what the internet can remember. Okay.
yeah, yeah, that's true. One cancel culture. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a,
yeah. Let's let the, yeah. The less we say on that, the better.
yeah.
I
Um,
I was gonna say like for me, I'm just like instantly like you instantly just said like just medieval setting with these incredible characters you have. I want to learn more about this already, and I cannot wait to hear more about that kind of stuff. But hearing the kind of the characters that you've created for this kind of stuff, it does lead me to asking a question that I'm sure a lot of people have asked you at this point or whatnot. You seem
mhm.
to have an affinity when it comes to drawing animals, namely drawing lizards and such. What is it about, animals and lizards that you seem to feel more comfortable drawing them?
Probably just like the start of Wings of Fire, really. I mean,
Okay.
like, um, when I was doing traditional, I didn't do much digital, at the time.
Hmm.
I think there was just a preference. I don't know really what exactly sparked it, but of course, um, you know, unlimited access to the internet does stuff to like people. So, I think maybe that might have been a benefactor. I know there were some things like people are like, oh, what was like what started you with snakes? I think like I think exactly. I think like one of the gateways, one of the big gateways besides like Wings of Fire probably was like the the XCOM snake.
Oh, okay. You know
Like
what?
that thing.
Valuable. Very.
Yeah. I mean, I also grew up with Skylanders when I was
Okay.
a wee baby. I think like that had a lot of like reptile characters. Like I know Spyro was like one of the main characters of that. I didn't have Spyro, the like main series, like
Hmm.
the Legends of Spyro or whatever. But I remember when I was into Skylanders, I like again like unlimited access to the internet. I discovered like through YouTube like the old Spyro series with like Cinder and like the other characters.
Hmm.
I don't know, there's a lot of stuff that just kind of starts people out and like eventually it's kind of hard to remember even like what really started it.
I mean,
But I
that's
think
fair.
yeah, and again like why I draw reptiles the most, I think with Wings of Fire, um like I would just draw a lot of those characters, so I've gotten used to just drawing like reptilian faces a lot more. And like I mean, I've I used to draw like reptile faces only at one angle, and I've seen this through like even tons of other artists stuff like where they draw like one angle all the time.
Hmm.
And it's like, I've delved into recently just not recently, but just like over time like I have gotten better at drawing different angles of characters
Right.
and like even humans like like some of my I don't have many like human characters, but I've drawn some of my friends like human OCs
Hmm.
over time. So I've slowly been getting used to that, and like even like drawing humans for like other medias. Like recently, I made like that mouthwash video where like I drew like some of those main characters and
Right.
like like I never draw humans and I really liked how that video came out. Like I'm like, oh wow, I drew these characters pretty on point.
Yeah, it was very
Proud of
well done,
myself
if I
with
do say
that.
so myself.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, like even with Anya, I was like, wow, I didn't. It's actually pretty good. But um, yeah, I mean, I've stuck with those pretty much.
I mean, I was gonna say
Yeah.
like when it comes to like the Wings of Fire that you had mentioned, as well as Skylanders and such, I can see where a lot of that love and influence when it comes to reptilian more or less comes from. I figured another big one as well, one that you have incorporated in a lot of your memes as well. It's got to be Godzilla, King of the Lizards, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I forgot exactly what I like started me with the Godzilla stuff. I think it had to be Godzilla King of the Monsters when that movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
I made a few posts on Instagram like before I was on Twitter, mainly on Twitter. Like I started drawing like making little jokes with that. And then eventually I started making animations with it with Chester Stone
Yes.
and like uh I don't know where he is at the moment, but he's who knows, but I definitely think he's actually seen one of the Godzilla videos. He has to
He
because
has to
like
at this point.
well like I've kind of a firm belief on it because like on one of his videos he has like the Snapchat filter where he has a little Godzilla in front of him as like just saying like just greeting him and whatnot. I'm like he's gotta know, right? I
He
mean,
has to know. Like at this point, like especially with how big, like especially the Godzilla videos have become at this point, especially with the Chester
yeah.
Stone videos as well. Like if it has not gotten back to him at this point, I would be amazed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Like, I mean, he has an Instagram account, so I don't
Mhm.
know. The odds of it are not slim. Uh,
I am so glad that you mentioned the Chester Stone stuff because that's one of the things I really wanted to emphasize real quickly. The fact that you've taken the opportunity to take like a lot of memes and such and like put your own personal flair on it in one form or fashion.
mhm.
Like what made you want to like go with that? Like what is it about that kind of process that you just love so much? Like what is it about just like making your own memes in a way, or like at least remixing the memes with your own personal flair that you just love and can't get enough of, that you've constantly done it up to this point?
I mean, it kind of goes back to the one thing I said where like I used to with another friend, like just kind of like put names on videos
Mm-hmm.
like for Wings of Fire and be like, oh, this character, that, and recently, it's just kind of myself doing that with myself.
Yep.
Like if I find pretty much just like if I find interesting audio that I find funny, I save it and like get an idea for it later on. Or like if I find just an idea, or just not an idea, but like just if I just find like interesting audio and I get an idea for it, I keep it down for thought. And uh, a lot of times it is hard because I'm not really, you know, I haven't done a lot of. There's not many topics that I have recently.
Mm-hmm.
I've mostly just been doing like, well, let's see, if I go to my like Twitter, what is the most recent videos? I mean, like, I don't know. Like, there are times where I want to like make a video that like goes towards a certain audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've made uh, like around the time I made an arcane video recently that was just kind of meh. I thought it was good, but it didn't reach the arcane audience.
I mean, I thought it was funny because I'm thinking back on it now, especially after I've just got done watching Arcane. Like, yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
more hilarious now.
yeah, and then like even with like the mouth washing, I only like watched someone play through the game. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't actually get it, but like I liked the story enough, and like I knew the background of the characters, so like with that audio, I was like, yeah, this can work. And like when I finished it, I'm like, all right, is this gonna not vibe with my audience, or like will this actually reach like the people who actually like played the game? And it's like it did. So
Good.
that's cool. But a lot of the times, like I, it is just keeshee in a lot of videos because I don't like a lot of the videos aren't like too specific
Right.
on what is happening, so I can just open end put like any face on it. And most of the time it is keeshee, and rarely do I put like just a random like blank blob character over it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like for instance, like the like chewing so loud video where I just
Yes.
had keeshee chewing, and it's just the two guys, just random like blobs talking to each other. I mainly just made that video because I wanted to do the stupid dragon PNG joke, like the fake. Originally, it was supposed to be like a transparent PNG, but like the
Mm-hmm.
PNG I saved was like a fake one. I'm like, you know what? F it, just keep it in.
It's always
Like it's funnier.
I'll say it's always funnier when you have the fake PNG more than anything else.
Yeah,
It
and
just
like
elevates it.
yeah, people enjoyed that more. So it's like, oh, it all worked out.
Exactly.
Um, but yeah, like it is just kind of like random most of the time. Just like I've been like asked like to do like another Godzilla video, and it's like I haven't found any audio recently that
Right.
like made me want to do it. Like I think the last Godzilla video I did was the let's see. Yeah, it was the pink eye video where he opens his eyes and it blinds Kong, mainly because like, oh yeah, he had the color change and his eyes are now pink.
Yep. There you go.
You know, uh,
I mean,
happy transition, Godzilla. I don't know.
I mean, I think everyone has that like small point, at least at one point, where like they're talking with their buddies or whatnot. They hear like some audio from like SpongeBob or something like that. Be like, it'd be so hilarious if we did this with like X, Y, and C instead or whatnot. Like,
Oh, yeah, like inside jokes.
yeah, inside jokes. I was gonna say, the co-showrunner for this podcast, TipsyJHearts, she has this
Hmm.
series that she's slowly making like comic dubs and like I think animation for here before too long, called Cupid's Club. That has these like dog s characters or whatnot that she has set up or whatnot, and I've sent her at least a good couple videos being like, this would be cool if you had this like this for this character or this for that character or whatnot. Like
Yeah.
she had one of them. She did an animatic for one of the characters for doing Knuckles from the Knuckles series or whatnot, talking about
Hmm.
like all I do is eat grapes and Doritos, like like this silly stuff like that. But like especially with how you've been able to put meme with character or whatnot, and just put forth like just some hilarious stuff. Like I know part of it is obviously like the meme itself, but I think for you what certainly helps is also like some of the comedic timing that you have with like some of the animation or like some of the bits that you have going along with it. Like whether it be a simple like one frame slap onto Keeshee or whatnot, or just like Keeshee
Yeah,
being like pelted into heaven in one form or fashion or whatnot. Like
yeah,
it makes me curious, and I can understand if there isn't much of a process, but what is the process like for you going from like, oh, this audio would be cool to finished product that you put out there into the world?
yeah. I was gonna say first, like, I think some of my funnier videos are the ones where I take some artistic liberty, and
Mm-hmm.
like some of my videos, like that I've looked back on, it's like, it's kind of boring. Like, are the ones where it's just like me just animating just over the audio, not really adding anything
Right.
extra. Like recently, I did just release the like Duke Nukem video. Like I just wanted to animate over that for a while now, and like I kind of didn't really. It wasn't too great, but um, uh, the process I go through, it is also just mostly in the moment. Like there are rare
Okay.
times where I like actually like storyboard like little sketches of what I want to happen at this particular moment,
Okay.
like what pose they'd be in. But like a lot of the times it is just like, oh, this would be funny if this happened. Like even like in like gamecade in the first episode,
Mm-hmm.
like when Gloose is walking away from Tim, like I was like, I don't want to animate Gloose walking away. I'm like too drained. That sucks. I don't want to make a walk cycle. So I just had like this like I think I was inspired by like the Punch Punch Forever. I think that's the name for it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Where like it's so quick, but like in the background of the first episode, like the mom just gets dragged in with like just a cursor hair and like gets
Yep.
clicked off and just goes up. I wanted to do that and just like I just took like that flashed through my mind. Like, what if I just had like something like click and drag Gloose off the screen while he's just animated in that spot? It's like it works, and like even with like I've done that with the second episode. There's a lot more movement and like walking. Like there's just moments where I just like kind of like go little effort,
Yep.
like in the scene where like after Nance and Gloose like take the candle, uh like them running off. I just that's only 4 frames. Like I just kind of was like, okay, I was gonna animate them like walking off the screen, but I'm just gonna animate the 4 frames and then tween it, and then have like the sound guy just put like a goofy running like sound over it.
Beautiful.
Uh, but, yeah, I mean, like even like it again, it is all just in the moment. Like even for
Yeah.
like the Finn Fanta video, where like Finn's like the sound alike, where the guy's like
Fanta in my
singing like,
system.
yeah, that
Fanta
one.
in my system.
Like that was just gonna be Finn doing that, and I was gonna have just Jake. Like I know it's like it was kind of empty, so I just put Jake in the corner, and then like while I was animating it, like usually what happens is uh, like when I'm animating like a certain frame, I'll like kind of have in my head like the idea for this like, oh, the next pose. And when it was coming to like him throwing the Fanta, I was like there's a crash sound in the specific audio that I took. So like I'm just gonna have him throw it into like Jake's head and it just shatters him. Like why not? Like I don't know. It's goofy.
It's goofy. It
People
works.
liked it. It doesn't make sense, but
So that
why does it need to?
I was gonna say that's the thing when it comes to like memes and just humor. It doesn't need to make sense. It just needs to be funny at the end of the day. That's what I love.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I just love when it comes to your stuff. Like it, it's that perfect kind of humor to where like you don't need to think too much about it. Like it's just funny. It's just there. It's
Yeah.
great. It's hilarious. I mean, you've done what probably hundreds of these animations at this point. Lord knows how
Hmm.
many animations when it comes to the memes and such. Do you at
Too
least
many.
have right? Do you have at least like a personal favorite one? Like whether it's just you like even if you just like you looking
Oh
back on it,
gosh.
like just how hilarious or how silly it was for you to execute it the way you did.
Um, with like me recently moving to Blue Sky,
Mm-hmm.
I have been putting like because like I have all the videos from Toon Boom and not my iPad like saved into a folder, so I've just been taking like one of my favorites from each row.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I don't know how they're organized in there. I
Right.
think it's by most recent, but yeah, I've been like taking just from like each row, like oh, which one do I want to post today? Like which one do I like the most? Um, so I mean, if you want to see some of my favorites, just like go to like near the beginning where I joined Blue Sky, and like you'll see.
There you
I mean,
go.
like if I go, yeah, like for instance, like the chewing loud one is in there. The drive through like um the large bulk like that. It's dumb videos like and even like the guy getting eviscerated by the flashlight.
Yep.
And like there's some like one good ones still from like when I was on my iPad. Like I know a lot of people really like the keeshee getting evaporated like by the Gianni like God smite you like
By godzilla, I spike thee.
yeah that one. Like I'm still impressed how I did that on an iPad. Like where she just sizzled away. Um yeah, I mean there's some like good ones in the past. Like I've mostly just like I don't like TikTok. I don't post on TikTok. It's a
Valid.
disgusting place. But I've like been posting videos that are on my iPad to there because, you know, it's a mobile app and like I'm just like, what can I post this week that's I haven't posted last week that's on my iPad and I don't have to get on my PC and do it.
Right.
So yeah, there's some like old videos that you can find there. Um but yeah, I mean, I've a few favorites, but it's hard to list all of them because again, I've made too many,
Oh
and I
no,
think
I have to say I don't blame you one bit. Like especially with just like how efficient you can be at times with just how many you're able to produce or whatnot. After a while, it's
yeah,
just like you have too many favorites because it's all just like you taking something that's funny and just making it funnier. Like I don't blame
yeah.
you.
I mean, there's times where like I see people like other animators do stuff like really like make an anim really fast, like working like their production is really fast. I'm sure they're working with other people
Right.
to help production go fast, but like you always in the back of your mind you're like dang they made that pretty fast, but then again I remember like oh I make like a few second video in like 1 or 2 days,
Well, there you
so
go.
I mean it depends how much time you want to put into it or if you're even feeling the mood to make one and you're draining and you know procrastinate. uh,
No, that's honestly very valid. I get where you're coming from when it comes to that. I just want to say real quickly. Whenever I was asking like for your favorites and you were listing some of the ones, there was a couple that popped into my head when it comes to just some of my favorites that I cannot like. Every single time I see it, no matter how many times I see it, I just laugh every single time.
yeah.
Like I know one of them is the one about the dude asking the dude about, do you know what day today is? Do you know what today is?
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
it was banana pudding. Like that one.
yeah,
There's that one. Freaking whenever you had the keeshee is, are you ugly on purpose?
yeah,
Like
that one's good.
anytime you get Kishi just doing some random gremlin noise at the end of the day, like that's always gonna get me a laugh, no matter what. Um, like I'm also curious as well. Like obviously you were doing this just like for more or less like just for to be blunt, the shits and giggles of it at the beginning or whatnot. At what point did you realize that other people were more or less like seeing this kind of stuff and loving it and sharing it and spreading it to the point to where here you are now with like thousands of people following you on all sorts of different social media and stuff?
uh Wait, repeat the
I was,
first bit.
when did you realize that more or less like this evolved from you just making the stuff for shits and giggles to thousands of people more or less like love and appreciate it? Like when did you really start like picking up steam when it comes to these like memes and animations and stuff?
I mean, it's kind of just been the same formula. I think when I knew when it was picking up is when I fully moved to Twitter
Okay.
because I got more traction on there. And this was before Elon fucking took
Yeah,
over.
this is before all the like. Trust me, the fact that you're still saying Twitter
Yeah.
lets us know what time period it is.
Yeah, yeah. And like I mean it shows even when like he like asked like I forgot who Elon asked like he's like, "Do people still call X Twitter?" It's like, "Yes.
Yes, yes, we
Yes, they
do.
do. Yeah,
We
yeah,
all
they do."
do.
But yeah, I kind of knew it was picking up steam when I just started doing my own thing and not just Wings of Fire. Like I
Hmm.
haven't really made any Wings of Fire content in quite a while. It's just been uh, just random whatever's on my mind. Like, oh yeah, I'll work on that. I'll make that.
Hmm.
Um, it. I don't know. Like, I think that's like one of the ways I kind of figured like people, you know, I'm big now is where like when I did my first like plush campaign.
Right.
Um, uh, buh, 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 like I did how like that's actually I like Makeship at the time wasn't as popular, or
Hmm.
like I guess not as popular, but like as developed as it was
Right.
now when I joined. So like I definitely got in early. But like the way I did it was like I don't really remember like what sparked me to do this, but like I wanted to joke and like just kind of like make a poll on Twitter like, oh, how many people would buy a plush? And then I DM'd them at the same time if I could get a plush, like, and they responded saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, sure, we can do that," because like they could see how many people were actually responding positively
Right.
to um
To
uh
the poll.
the poll. Yeah, I don't know. It's just all in time, like just how many like interactions you get and like the meet people you meet.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I've met some like popular creators. Like I don't know if like I'm really friends with them, but like I've met them, I've said stuff to them, so like it's pretty impressive. I mean like uh I guess one of the YouTubers is Pyrocynical.
Oh
I know
wow.
he's got a mix standing on with people, but
Yeah.
I've chatted with him before. I've chatted with Gooseworks. I've chatted with like the dev of the Monkey Wrench, Zurel.
Okay.
I've chatted with some people that have worked on Deltarune. Like I've like it's mainly like it's also kind of a thing where it's like, dang, it's kind of a small world in the art industry. Like working on gamecade kind of made me realize like a lot of people know each other
Yeah.
like from these projects because like even the sound guys when I was working with them, Adam Serling,
Okay.
he worked on like Lackadaisy,
Okay.
The Hell of a Boss, and like Billy Bust Up. Um, and he had his like we were working with like the composer at the same time. But like when we were working like going through the episode, kind of kept mentioning stuff like that's like, oh wow, kind of a small world. Like of course they mentioned like I didn't even know this about one of my VAs. Like the VA for Beth, I didn't even know this. Like they mentioned like, oh yeah, it's the same VA that worked on like animations like stuff,
Oh
like
wow.
where he voiced like Roxanne Wolf and then like the little possum character and his like his mall series as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I didn't even know that. Like I was shocked. Like, oh wow, really? And then like even like I didn't even know until like the VA brought it up, but like even Boss's VA, like
Mm-hmm.
he mentioned like, oh yeah, I like he's animated for like Hell of a Boss. I didn't even know that. Like
Yeah.
and then like the Stig's VA, the little snake,
Mm-hmm.
from the second episode,
Yep.
she animated for Lackadaisy and like Hell of a Boss. And she does the little like if you know the little doodles for Hell of a Boss, those little like pencil drawings, those are hers.
Oh, I was gonna say I know about that VA particular.
Yeah.
Sarah Fish, Giga Seraph or whatnot. Partially because she was
Hmm.
the fourth guest. She was on episode 4 of this
Oh,
podcast.
really?
Yeah, I had her early on this podcast, and like I instantly recognized the voice whenever I heard like even just the
Yeah.
sniffles because it's very similar to the ones that she's done for her own character, Mao or whatnot. And so like yeah,
Hmm.
hearing that like you didn't realize she animated for this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that one. It's like
Yeah.
it was that one, and then Cadaver Dave or Dave Capdeville.
Yeah.
I've actually had Dave on here 2 times at this point. One of them just in general, the other one to talk about Farfetch, which I got in the background right here, the
Hmm.
series that he's working on with Ashley Nichols, who is a voice actor of Zubul on the Amazing Digital Circus.
Yeah.
That like just like you were saying, it's a really small world. It's weird how all these people are like connected and such.
Yeah. And I was even gonna say like when I got Michael
Mm-hmm.
Kovac, like I think I got him first, like on episode 2 before Dave because of timing and stuff,
Okay.
and like he mentioned that him and Dave are roommates. I'm like, oh
Yes.
my, what is like again like it's small ass world, and like even like I forgot the sound guy that I was working with. He mentioned like, oh yeah, like then like another person was a roommate. Um I think there was another person that was roommates with them that like I interacted with.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot who exactly, but I was again. It's like it's small world, and even like the background artists that I got. Um, Party Pratt has worked on like Hell of a Boss backgrounds, and they've even worked on like SpongeBob backgrounds.
Yeah.
It's like again small ass industry, and it's impressive.
I was gonna say, trust
Just
me.
like
I was gonna say, trust me. If you take the time just to even talk like 5 minutes with me about the people I know alone when it comes to that kind of stuff or
yeah,
whatnot, like
you're another gateway,
I am another gateway to so many other people when it comes to. It's
pretty
really
much.
like I think that's one of the cool things about like the art world, especially with you now like producing your own like indie animation and stuff with GameCade and such. You get to meet so many people, and you slowly get to realize, wow, everyone just kind of knows each other. Like it's so unique at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Uh,
pretty much.
I mean, I could go on bragging about my connections, but this isn't my podcast.
Yeah,
This isn't my episode of the podcast. This is
I'm the
yours.
guest.
You are the guest. You are the focus.
You
You are
have
the
to listen to me.
and I want to listen to you about the stuff that you have just been mentioning for a little bit or whatnot, where you got to make all these cool connections and
Yeah,
whatnot. And that is this indie animated series that you have developed called GameCade. Now I'm curious,
yeah.
like it seems so simple of a concept, but how did you develop the idea for GameCade? How did it come to you?
I don't remember exactly why, but it started with like because I was in the loop of like posting every other day, like
Mm-hmm.
making stuff, and this was well, I guess we have to really start at near the source where I this would be my 4th year in college.
Okay.
Um, I left the CIA, and whenever I say the CIA, people
What?
think I'm talking about the government. I mean like Cleveland Institute of Art.
Okay.
Because whenever I like brought up like when like people were asking at school like, oh, what do you what do you where are you going? And I'm like, whenever I mention like, oh, the CIA, people are like, oh wow, really? And I'm like,
you,
yeah, the Cleveland Institute of Art, and they're like,
I'm not gonna lie.
ah,
You had me fooled for a
this
second
is not
there.
as cool.
It's like
Yeah,
you had me fooled for a second. There, like you left the CIA. What kind of life were you living, man?
I young age working at CIA. Uh, I went there and it was just not for me. Like I
Okay.
lasted like only like a fucking week, but I think there were a lot of signs that like I would have gone back home because like the thing is like I already knew what I was gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Like with animation And I think with college, just this goes for anyone really. Like I think people go through college just to discover like what they want to do or where they're gonna start. And
Right.
that's kind of what college is. Like at the end of like, college, they usually give you a job, like or just like send you out like somewhere, or like give you an idea of where to go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when I knew already, this is before I went into like computer animation. I was still animating on my tablet, but
Right.
like, I mean, they were pretty impressive for what I was doing on a tablet at the time. Um, uh, I I didn't want to go through a lot of the fundamentals because I was taking like the fundamental classes and the AP courses through normal high school and middle school. And like apparently, if you took the AP art class, you would have been able to skip a lot of the fundamentals of like college, the art college classes.
Right.
But that didn't happen. So what was the point of
Mm.
that? And I was like, they're like, I get the idea of like if you study multiple things in art, you do get better. But like, I don't know if sculpture would have helped me figure out animation. And it's like if I wanted to like major in animation, but I had to wait like 2 years to do that and do all this other stuff that like I already tried out
Right.
and like and so that was one of the factors of why I left because I was going to start animation early. But another thing is like there was like this one woman I met, older woman, like I think she was a little over uh, her middle ages because she mentioned she had two kids and she was going there as a student,
Okay.
and she mentioned like she majored in medicine like her whole life. She like was a doctor and like went to school for medicine and all that, and
Okay.
eventually she just kind of lost that and wanted to try out painting as a passion and went to school for it. And it's like, and I like we were talking like at a lunch table and it's like really sweet. And I kind of realized when I was talking about how I got into animation and like, I've already taught myself how to do all the things I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, do I really need to go through all of this just to like learn like for only 2 years and or start now and just like teach myself? Like I think that was one of the little callings if I like never talked to that woman.
Mm-hmm.
But like also like she was able to like, like do medicine and then all of a sudden now she wants to do painting. So it's like kind of also like kind of a realization like, hey, we all still have a lot of time in our lives. We can choose what we want to do.
Right.
And, uh so yeah, and I'm still young. I could I have a long way to go. I mean, yeah, sure, I always have that worry of like, oh, what am I gonna do next? How am I gonna, but that's everyone really. Everyone
Yeah.
worries about the future. But I left school. I got a citrine tablet, whatever this thing is, a Wacom, um, uh, a drawing tablet for my PC.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had a PC, but I just mainly used it for gaming.
Right.
Um, and I studied on there. I took Boom Boom has like their own courses. They're quite pricey, but they teach you the fundamentals of how to use the program,
Mm-hmm.
not actually how to really animate, but just like how to use it. So I've been taking those classes, and I even took like recently a paperless animation class from them, which is just like traditional drawing instead of using puppets.
Oh.
And for one of the courses a couple months ago that ended. Um, so I've been taking those on my free time, and those are my classes. I've tried looking at a few other animation courses. So mainly I've been teaching myself, but like that sudden change in my animation quality and like the difference of how like my animations used to look and how they do look is because I switched to Toon Boom,
Okay.
and I've been trying that. Like even if you look at my first Toon Boom animation, which was like a Bulborb eating like out of like Pikmin bowl, which like it's awful. Uh, and, like the line art looks terrible because I was trying new brushes. I even remember finishing that animation, then looking back at like a day after, and I cried of like, oh my god, this is awful. Like I'm not gonna get anywhere. But it's like, yeah, again, it's one of those things. It's like in time you get better, like what you
Yeah.
do. It's like I even reanimated that same video like a year ago, like just to see where I've gone. I've improved, and um, but yeah. Now going forward with what you said with GameCade,
Yep.
while I was like out of school, I kind of had to like, push forward and like because my main thought was like, okay, I need to like I want to make like a show. Everybody wants to make an indie animation show
Oh yeah.
nowadays and like, everyone has a chance to do it and you might as well try. You kind of, you never know where you're going to get with it. But um again with Wagon Thieves, it was originally going to be that. It was
Okay.
I was working on the script while studying just and doing Toon Boom animations for like a year. And the script is actually done, but I'm sure once I pick it up again and look back at it, I'll be like, wow, this sucks. I need to change it. Because time has passed and
Right.
I've actually kind of delved into more story making and on other stuff. But yeah, I was gonna work. I made that script, but I realized like, yeah, I still suck at animation though. Like I'm good, but I'm not great, and like I don't have much experience. And experience is what you really need to make practically anything, really.
Right.
And
It's one thing to animate little like 5-10 second memes or whatnot here and there,
exactly.
but like a full length animated pilot is a whole different
Yeah.
story.
Pretty much. So like I was thinking like, okay, now I need to make like something just practice off of.
Hmm.
Originally, I was going to make like a little short series called Wim's 1 Minute Talk Show, and his name was Wim because like, oh, it was made on a whim. Um, and
Like
it was
I,
originally going,
it kind of clicked in
yeah,
my head, but like you saying it out loud, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right.
yeah, it was just gonna be a random like anything thrown at the door, like whatever. I
Hmm.
had some episodes planned. I still even remember some of the gags. Like one of them was gonna be like fucking just a PNG of Bowser,
Yes.
like sitting in a seat, and all that would be said from him were like just the sound effects of Bowser. And just like there were so many dumb ideas I had for it. Like I don't remember the exact uh like it was just gonna be everyone makes fun of it, but like the lol random humor. But I mean it works sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Oh, trust me,
like
it
even
totally
with
works
like
sometimes.
yeah, and I mainly it was going to be me doing the voice acting for Wim, and
Okay.
I can do voice acting. I know I can, but it's one of those things like you need a good mic and a good soundproof room, and I
Right.
don't have a good soundproof room, and I have one of those PCs that makes a lot of noise. I
Hmm.
mean, any fan makes noise, but like in my I have that sensitive brain where uh
You're very
any little
conscious of that.
noise,
You're very conscious
yeah,
of that kind of stuff. Trust me,
yeah.
I'm trying to get into voice acting as well myself here and there.
Hmm.
And like, you know, I will say my room for the most part is fairly soundproof as it is, but if I'm not
Hmm.
careful, the mic that I have right here can pick up my little laptop that I have right here, or
Yeah,
maybe like my little mini fridge that I got in the corner right here and such.
yeah,
And like, especially when I'm recording something like, God, no, I need it to sound why does this background noise have like I need it to sound crisp, I need it to sound good. Like, yeah, I
yeah,
get that anxiety more than anything else.
yeah. Like the little ADHD of like, I mean, my PC is 4 years old now.
Right.
Like, just I hate computers. I know nothing about computers. My thing's pre-built. I fear like, oh, I'm gonna like, replace some parts in it yet, but I don't
Hmm.
know how to do that. And like I recently like okay, like one of the fan is getting a little old and it's getting a little loud, so I'm like, oh, okay, buy that same exact fan and just replace it. And like I did that, but then I realized there's this like thing on the motherboard in the way of like taking that like fan out, and if I wanted to take that off, I'd have to take about like the motherboard out, and then I have to assemble the whole entire PC. It's like
Right.
I'm not dealing with that. So it's
It's
like
just
we'll
like,
see how long.
fuck it, new PC.
Yeah, but essentially, like I don't have a soundproof room, but
Hmm.
like the mic didn't pick up that. Like I got the mic recommendation from like uh Gianni and Goobus Dubus. Funny enough, I asked them both like what mic they use, and they mentioned the same exact mic. I
Okay.
don't know exactly what it is, but it is a Audio Technica.
Okay.
But it's still sitting on my desk, but I never use it. Because like when I talk into it, I sound like right now. I know I sound completely different from how what my ears are hearing me sound like, but I sound like I'm on like a Xbox mic or something. But like when
uh,
I use that mic, I sound like I'm doing an ASMR video. Like
I totally get that. I get that mentality.
yeah, but I tried doing some like recordings, just little video because I was making little video ideas where it would just be my own original stuff instead of
Right.
just me taking like pre-existing audio. And I'm like, oh wow, I hate my voice. This sucks. So,
Oh,
uh,
I cannot tell you how much I have been relating to you so much in this goddamn episode.
yeah, I'm only human.
After we
Oh,
we are
I'm a
we are
human.
we are just mere humans.
Yeah, and but yeah, so that eventually got scrapped. Like I even made the like, little logo. I'm terrible at designing. I mean, I'm
Okay.
not, but like bad with like the title designing.
Okay, I get you.
Like mainly because I made every like it's seen in through all my art that is an animation now, where like you can tell my art is pixelated, and the
Mm-hmm.
main reason for that is I draw really small. I don't know why, but I draw really small. I do not draw big.
Okay.
The only time I recently drew big was probably making the renders for the gamecade characters. But like the reason why like a lot of my art like is like a little pixelated or looks scrunchy is because I draw small. Like I've gotten comments where like, "Wow, more pixels much?" It's like, "Yeah, yeah, I know."
More
But
pixels much and like
it's the style, I guess.
I find it charming more than anything else to have those like
Yeah,
the pixels more than anything else. Like the crunchiness of it makes it like it gives another layer of humor for whatever you're putting out there.
yeah. But this was like around the time I was working on like the Wagon 3 script. So I
Mm-hmm.
made like two logos for those and they didn't look great because like again, I can't make, fully like just nicely rendered stuff. I'm not good at that. I've thought about like commissioning someone to do it, but then I have in the back of my mind of like, okay, if I commission someone to make this like logo, would I constantly have to like give credit whenever I use it? Like I don't know how that would work. Like how do you pay for like, oh yeah, this logo is going to be used everywhere. Are you okay with that? But
I
I've
mean,
made all my stuff, so I don't know.
I was gonna say like for me like I've commissioned people to do the logo for this podcast, both the previous one that I
Mhm.
have and the current one that I have. At in my experience, it could be different for different people, but normally there's like the upfront fee of like paying for it or whatnot, and then like
Yeah.
if you want to do anything past that, it's kind of just discretion between you and the artist. Like for my current logo, I commissioned a fantastic artist named Roshan Galaxy, and like that flat price that I did, that's what allows me to put that on everything that I can. But I
Mhm.
also have like a merch shop where I have the logo on there, and I agreed with them personally to be like, whatever merch sales I get from this, 50% of the profits or whatnot is going to go back to you. That's something that I just made personally. I don't think they even asked for that kind of thing. But like it varies from a person to person. You just gotta talk to the artist, and again, every artist is different. You could find one to where like if you think that their art style is good, you could discuss that kind of stuff. Fairly easy to talk to a lot of these people when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like oddly enough, but I cut you off. Continue with what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, like with like I just like even with like the Gamecade title like that one like doesn't have a real render for it. I
Right.
just keep reusing like the same like image like kind of cropped. I don't even know where like a transparent version of that is on my iPad, but somewhere. But um but yeah, like so I was working on the Whim stuff and like maybe some other shorts. Like that would be short little gag videos with not much really put into them.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't really go anywhere because I didn't really like my voice, wasn't confident enough in it. Uh, and like I put Wagon Thieves was put down at that point. Like I've
Oh,
made some like, well, it's still gonna happen, but like it's
it was put on the back burner more than anything
yeah,
else.
like I even made a post on that saying like, okay, I'm gonna stop advertising Wagon Thieves because I want to work on something else.
Mm-hmm.
And because like even on my Patreon, I still haven't mentioned like, oh yeah, see like Wagon Thieves progress, and there's still a channel like that hasn't been like. Let me check the last time this has been updated where I put like a ref in since 2003.
Oh,
Yeah, it's been a year now that
well,
I haven't really said anything about it.
2023, you mean?
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry,
You said-
2023.
so you said 2003. I'm like, wow, that is impressive given the
Wait, my
timeline and
bad.
everything. No,
Uh,
I mean,
yeah, I spent over 20 years on GameCade for 2 episodes.
there you go.
Yeah. But I don't remember exactly why I chose like GameCade and like the arcade in the mall. Because Gloose existed at the time
Mm-hmm.
as just a cat character I would draw. Because the creation of Gloose is actually kind of funny. Like it was an animation done before I got Toon Boom, so it was on my tablet.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was just like this weird cat music video, where it's just like a pre-existing music video with cat, like awful cat meows going over it, and I was just drawing these really scrunkly looking creatures like cats over it, and like one of the designs stuck, and like that design slowly morphed into like Gloose.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how they came to be. But and I've used them in a few stuff. Like I'm sure if you look back at like some old pictures of Gloose, they're more like they're less box shaped than they are now. Like the, I don't know, but I mean every character like changes over time. Like with Keeshee, like her frills used to go on the back, like just on her back,
Mm-hmm.
and now they kind of lop on her shoulders like they're hair, and like I used to draw her at like always this like 30-degree angle. Now like I've experimented with like front facing, so I've
Yes.
done some of those too. So like again, like this goes for anything. Like characters change over time, but like on the note of like GameCade, I walk my dog every day at 3, just like because exercise. I might have gotten the idea of it from there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I was just I would like I think I just came up with it on the spot, like when I was walking, like, oh, the idea of like an arcade in the mall, because like at the time I was still just you know any concepting, like I hadn't drawn down much of the stuff yet, so like in my mind, like at the time him was just a seal.
Yep.
Like this tall lanky seal that was this tube. uh, but that changed once I started drawing. I think of course I think it was maybe Beth that was made first, or Boss. Like I think on my Patreon I put down like the like whips and concepts of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And like they look really different. And even like from episode 1, some of the character designs have changed. Like Beth's face isn't as long. Tim's like funny enough, like Tim's face actually changed um from like episode 1, like the way I draw his eyes, mainly because of a piece of fan art I got from someone that like drew his eyes differently.
Right.
Like I used to just draw 2 big circles and then draw the 2 lines connecting, but now I just draw an oval and like 2 lines kind of separating where the eyes would be,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because of that person. And it was funny because that person really liked him. Like they made like a keychain of him as well. It's like, oh wow, I've gotten like first like kind of like really liking this character. And like even like some of the other VAs like Gianni said like Tim's like the sexy Tumblr man out of like the group. And it's just I I don't know. Even like after like the second episode, I've seen some of the VAs interact with each other, and that's always fun to see.
Right.
But I'm getting off track. I mean, we could get back to that, but um, like, uh, I think just GameCade started with like sketches and an idea because at the time I needed to make something. You know,
Right.
I needed to like make something if I wasn't gonna do the whim stuff, or like use stuff with my own voice. I mean, like again, I don't even know. Like a lot of people haven't even heard my voice. Some people think I'm like a woman still, and people sometimes ask like, "Are you a girl, boy?" And like, I don't even answer that. I'm like, I'm whatever you want because I
Right.
think like the best way to just like see an artist is just like how you see them. Because like as soon as you like see an artist or envision like whenever you see their stuff, you're always gonna have that face in your head, like, oh, that's who made it. So it's like,
Right.
for me, it's like, again, I don't have a Sona, so it's like, I just see my stuff however you want.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I haven't changed my like laughing keeshee profile image on Twitter since like 2019.
Yeah, something like that.
Uh,
I mean, to be fair, I didn't know what I was like. I didn't know, how to gender you going into this thing more than anything else. I was just
yeah,
going to this thing blindly. But you know what? I'm along for it, and I mean, it's
yeah,
cool. It's cool to see what you've been able to do without people really knowing much about you. You know?
yeah, and like I've gotten like some of the people I've worked with, like, how should I address you? And I'm like, yeah, just he, him is fine.
Okay.
But yeah, like, I guess I was just like over time, I would just kind of like make it up as I go on walks, and then like eventually, like, because a lot of the jokes in GameCade isn't really made to be like some revolutionary, like, animation. It's mainly just like, oh, just, a bunch of gags put in just
Yeah.
because I had fun with it. And like a lot of because I wanted to make 10 episodes,
Okay.
and a lot of like the jokes and like story cues are already planned, and I have been like jotting down like uh stuff for each one. But yeah, it kind of GameCade kind of all just started with me being like, all right, screw it. I'm gonna make like a storyboard and just go from there. Like even with episode 2, there's no script. Like
Okay.
I just go straight into storyboard and write the like dialogue on top of it. So
Okay.
like even when I'm working with the VAs, I just send them the I send them just the images of the storyboard with the dialogue on top of it, because it also helps them like figure like, okay, this is what's happening in this shot while you're saying this.
It helps them
So
figure out how they should actually like voice it, whether it be something cheery or something monotone or
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it makes sense. Um,
And they also just have fun with it too because they get to see the images. So
I was gonna say, oddly enough, that's not the first time I've heard that technique being used in animation, just in general. Oddly enough, so I've actually talked to one of the guys who's actually a director for the Patrick Show on Nickelodeon or Paramount, whatever it is or whatnot, and that's what they use for the show. Like they use like storyboards and adding the dialogue
mhm.
on there for the people to recite it or whatnot. So the fact that you're using that technique as
Yeah.
well, especially with like your art or whatnot, it makes so much sense considering the fact that a lot of your stuff is very like there's a lot of gags that I've noticed, whether it be with the 10-second videos or with GameCade, that are a lot more visual than they are like in the dialogue more than anything else.
hmm Yeah, like with like the second episode, there's definitely a lot more dialogue than the first one, which I
Mm-hmm.
think is a better factor. Where like because like there's always that thing where like creators hate their own like creation, and that's with me for the first episode,
Okay.
mainly because like there's just a lot of empty air, and I just like there's a lot of stuff that I just don't like about it. But they're like, which is funny because like I wanted to make episode 2 to do better than like um episode 1,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot like it's better than the first one. And then like of course as I'm advertising like the new episode, more like people have now like because like the first episode was at like 300 like 40K, and
Okay.
now it's like at 420. It's like 420K. It's like, no, that's not supposed to be doing better. You can watch the second one instead.
It's
And
a
like when people say go watch GameCade, they link the first one. It's like, no, link the
like the
second one,
second one.
please. It's so much better.
It's amazing what happens whenever you try to advertise something new and people are like, well, wait, where's the original one? Where's it come from? Where did,
Yeah.
like they want they want the background. They want to know like where what's the story like? What should we expect
Yeah.
with this kind of stuff instead of like oh, new thing. This is cool.
Which stinks because it's like, oh, I like the second one just is better. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, I will personally say I agree with that sentiment. Like, I love the first episode. Like, I love the humor of it or
Hmm.
whatnot. But the second one, like, it just hits a little bit different. Like, the jokes are, like, they hit different. The visual gags are so great. Especially, like, the whole entire, like, the boss, like, just dealing with all the BS, like, throughout the entire episode before at the end, like, the little gag of just, like, who are you people?
Yeah.
like I love how much I can certainly tell the improvement more than anything else from episode 1 to episode 2.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's really cool to even think like from what you've been able to accomplish from like 2 episodes alone, like whether it be the fact that you got to do this in the first place, the cool crew that you've been able to bring on board for this kind of stuff, the incredible voice actors that you have voicing all these like silly, ridiculous, but also hilarious parts or whatnot. Like, I am curious, out of the 2 episodes that you have so far, like we know that the second one is the favorite episode, but do you have like a favorite moment or a favorite gag from the 2 episodes so far?
Um. God. Like, uh, I know I did good with some jokes when
Mm-hmm.
like me in a call with my friends will just randomly recite like a line from it as like a brain worm, like how vocal cues other people have with stuff. Uh, like the vocal stems, whatever they're called,
Yep.
people are calling it whatever. Um, I think like has to be like one of Nance's lines where it's like the okay. Like it's not like a super funny moment. It's just it's I enjoyed that because I don't know. But it's even funny with like I'm happy to have gotten Nance's VA because like originally I was gonna get um the VA for I forgot the character's name from Monkey Wrench, but
Mm-hmm.
the VA who plays the Space Queen, the blue lizard lady,
Yes, yes, I know what you're talking about.
Irene,
Yep.
Irene, I think. I was gonna get her, because it's like, oh, I like her voice. I want to try getting her, and like, I spent like a whole month. Like, I finished recording with a lot of other VAs, and I was trying to like get her. So I kind of wait. I spent like a whole month waiting, and because the thing is, she recently worked with Disney on the movie
Oh,
Wish. She was like like one of the side characters for that.
okay.
So I guess she got a what's the word for like people that like monitor like like what gigs you can get
I know,
like
I know what you're talking about. I don't know the exact phrasing of it or whatnot.
yeah,
I guess the best thing would be like the closest thing I could think of is like in wrestling or whatnot. Whenever you get fired or whatnot, you have like a non compete clause where you can't perform for like this company for X amount of days or whatnot. But
or no, just like a person that like kind of like monitors like your emails and like kind of
okay,
like references stuff, agent or something like I don't know. I think agent, maybe I don't know.
some long
I'd
lines
have
of
to
that.
like read yeah. And she said like she apologized, like sorry, like I can't do it, and it's like oh dang it. And it's funny because like I was even like I asked like Zurel like oh like she hasn't responded in a while like it's like oh she's my yeah I need to check on her so hopefully she still works with him but uh yeah I kind of had to then make a post about Nance like asking like for VAs
Mm-hmm.
and like I like no offense to people, but it's like one of those things where you like really want something specific because you have the voice in mind, and it's you kind of have to go through all the people, and
Right.
you don't want to just pick just to pick. But I eventually asked like Gianni, and he referenced some people, and then it's like Tash Ritter, who is the voice of Nance, was mentioned, and I checked her out, and like it's funny because like they're friends actually, and then I got her, and it's like, oh, thank you for referencing her because she was really fun to work with, and yeah, so
I mean,
uh,
it's really cool, especially like on such like a last minute basis to get her or whatnot in this
mhm.
situation, and yet her performance was absolutely great and led to obviously the great vocal stems that you were talking about or
Yeah,
whatnot. Like it's so hilarious with that. I also my personal one is just anytime I hear Dave's voice or whatnot, especially
oh
with
yeah,
episode 2 or when I was like, hey, you don't even work here.
yeah. Like him definitely. Dave got more lines in the second episode than the
Yes.
first one, and I'm glad he used that line that you just mentioned in his new demo reel he made because uh he did use like Tim from the first episode like
Mm-hmm.
in one of his demo reels. I'm like, no, we'll get you a better line for the second episode to
Yep.
use,
I think you
and
did good
like
with that.
and I think Dave was also the reason why I made renders for each of the characters because he mentioned he was going to a convention and he had a booth and he wanted to and I was really touched by that he wanted to put like Tim on it. I was like, oh, that's
Oh,
cool. But like also like I don't have renders of the characters, so like when he asked like I was like asked for like image of Tim to use. I'm like, oh no, I don't have any like image for him to use. So like I had to like crop one of the first images I made of Tim where it's like a full body shot and like I was poorly editing it. I'm like, sorry, like I couldn't get anything anything proper. So I professionally recently made like a bunch of renders of each of the characters
there
for
you go.
anyone to use. And mainly because of that reason, I'm like, yeah, I need to do that because in case that ever happens again.
Right.
So
I mean, I'm almost insulted that you didn't already have your local resident Tumblr sexy man's like render ready to go. You
oh, dang it.
know. I mean, at the end of the day, though, it has to be insane. Like thinking about like not just what you've been able to accomplish with this, as well as like with the memes or whatnot. But like, it's also got to be insane the amount of people that just love the stuff you put out and like, crave
Hmm.
more of it. Like, does it ever like blow your mind, or does it at least seem like surreal to think of how many people like love and support you, whether it is for the memes or what you've been able to put out with
I,
GameCade?
I mean, I was gonna mention this before. I mean, it's crazy that like there are some people who are following me that have been following me from the beginning. Like when I posted GameCade, there were some like YouTube comments of people mentioning like how I've come a long way from like my Wings of Fire like animations. It's like, oh my God, you remember those? Like you were there, man. Like and like again with when I posted like the like me advertising the video on Instagram, like someone mentioned like Wagon Thieves. It's like wow, they're like some of the people still following me like were there for like my younger days of
Right.
doing all this stuff. I mean it's crazy that there are people who still follow and I'm grateful for that. I think I always advertise it like when it's following me or subscribing to me, like, oh yeah, you're joining me on this journey because I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen. Like I never knew that I was gonna like interact with like fucking cynical, work with like other people, and
Right.
work on like Hell of Boss or like you know, I I don't know. It's a lot, but
I mean, like even like taking up one more step back and just thinking more about like thinking back to like kind of this weird art journey that you've been on, whether it be like you had said, like being raised in kind of this art family to finding these different communities. Wow, words are wonderful.
yeah.
Finding these different communities and like finding a home in them to kind of developing your own with this cool thing. Like thinking to your art journey as a whole, does it surprise you how far you've been able to develop as an artist?
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean that I was gonna say like I can only imagine how weird and surreal it has to be like as like he's like you'd mentioned with like the fan base that you've kind of more or less developed at this day with how many of them still remember that kind of stuff. I mean, here
Yeah.
you were just like trying to make silly fan art or silly memes or whatnot based on Wings of Fire, and here you are again, thousands of subscribers across Lord knows however many platforms, making hilarious content daily, and now having this indie animated series. Like it. If I can say personally, I know I'll
Yeah.
say a lot more later on, but it's really cool to see how far you have been able to develop to get to this point, man.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, like when people ask about Wagon Thieves, I mean, like I've said, like gamecade is mainly just a stepping stone. Like, uh, it's just me like getting the basis before I actually work on like a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first episode, I label it as pilot, but I need to probably change that and just say first episode because it's not really a pilot, but um uh like for the first episode, like yes, I did a good job on it, but again, like with the thing like creators hating their own stuff, like I there's points where I'm like, okay, I could have done better here.
Mm-hmm.
And like I always appreciate like criticism and comments. There's always the difference between criticism where it's like, "Oh, this sucks," or like it's like, "Okay, I don't care." But like if it's a comment that actually criticizes and says what is, what needs to be fixed and like, "Oh, thank you. That's
Yeah.
helpful," instead of just saying, "This is gay. I don't like it."
It's
It's like,
there's
"Okay."
there's a difference between a person just yelling "This is boring" and someone being like, "This is really funny, but it'd be really cool if you had some like more
Yeah.
dialogue here, or something along the lines of that."
Mhm. And yeah, so like one of the big differences from this one, from the second one, besides the more dialogue, I think I got like different sound guys. So
Mm-hmm.
with the first guy, he did a good job, but I it wasn't as professional as like the new guys I got, which was like Adam Sterling. Like he had previous work, and the like when I was working with him, like he even mentioned like, oh yeah, I've taught like animators and indie creators before, like how audio works and all that. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, thank you. And because like when he was like saying all the stuff and all the files he needed, like I was like bewildered, like, oh my God, all this stuff he's saying is like so over my head. It's all overwhelming,
Right.
everything all at once. Like, oh my God, this is a lot more than what the first guy even said. Like,
It's just like I need this, I need assets of this, I need
yeah,
concepts
and
for
then you
custom
need
kind of
to,
stuff, and you're just here like I
yeah,
pretty snake lady.
pretty much. And then like it's like, oh yeah, and you need the like this time code on it where it plays in the corner and like the that the little bleep where like a video starts up with like that little film countdown. Like he
Right.
wanted me to put that in. It's like, oh my God, there's so much. And then he wanted like the like audio files all separate, and I'm like, oh my God, they're all mixed together. I have to go back into like. Luckily, I had them saved. Like
Right.
the audio files put over the storyboards
Mm-hmm.
for me to animate over. So I mean, I put it all together in Vegas. Um, so I had every scene like with each of the characters' audios all separate sent to him, except the first scene
Mm-hmm.
where like it's with the little snake, because for some reason Vegas deleted that scene. And
What?
I couldn't get the audio files from it, so I just sent him like everything that was already like together. So it's like, oh, sorry, you're gonna have to work with that. But yeah.
Mm.
So you might notice how like I I'm sure no one will notice, but like the little difference in audio quality from the beginning of the episode compared to like the rest of everything. But yeah, so like with second episode, I've definitely gotten new experience how to like work with audio files and what I
Mm-hmm.
should and shouldn't do, and which helps me if I want to do more. And like with if I do a third episode, I definitely want to hire animators. I want to try that. So just I have that experience with like working with another animator, and then at some point in like GameCade's lifespan, I do want to try doing music as well.
Okay.
I mean, like uh, Boss's VA has a very lovely singing voice. Like he actually can do very fun stuff. And I think that would actually be a pretty funny gag if, he has the silly voice, and then all of a sudden he has this very nice singing voice.
You got the very silly, very serious voice
Yeah,
right here. Ooh, la, 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 or something like
yeah.
that.
And then like even like Nance's VA does some singing. Like she has like a YouTube channel. I don't know if she posts there anymore, but she has like some music she's put on there. It's like, oh, I could maybe get you to, you know, sing too. But that's far off. I don't know how far I'm gonna even get with this. I haven't started on episode 3 yet.
That's
I
valid.
like I just got done advertising the plush campaign, and now I'm gonna get back to being annoying advertising the YouTube video of saying, "Hey, go watch it."
Yep.
I put time into it because like also like I complain about this a lot, but YouTube sucks. Like,
Oh yes, yes it
yes, it
does.
does. Like I used to do really well on YouTube, like with my little shitty videos, like
hmm
that are like seconds long. Like I would get like thousands of views, and I'm grateful for that. Like hundreds and like over 200K usually, and which I don't know how. I guess it was my strong start where like some of the beginning videos somehow got millions.
Right.
Just I don't know how, but like and like after I posted the first gamecade episode, they kind of dwindled. Like since this summer, like YouTube has been like my views have been slowly going down, and I can't say like, oh, maybe it's because my content's not as good, because I can't say that because like I've posted some pretty good ones in my opinion, like on YouTube that like did really well on Twitter, and then like even in the past, like some videos that I put on YouTube were not great,
hmm
did really well. So it's like I definitely think YouTube just at a point has just stopped showing my stuff
Right.
to certain viewers because it even shows because like some of the comments I get are like people saying, "Oh, I didn't see this. Like I wasn't even shown. Like oh, YouTube didn't show me this." It's like uh, it's not me. It's like it's YouTube's just it just hides stuff, and it's like I get why some YouTubers like it's annoying, but I get why they like sometimes like mention like this percentage of viewers aren't subscribed.
Right.
Like oh yeah, because like YouTube doesn't show subscribers anything. Like what's the point of subscribing if like you're not gonna see stuff from that person? And I get like there's the sidebar where like oh there's a little dot next to the YouTuber's name like when they post a new video, but it's like who really clicks on that stuff? Like people are scrolling down the home menu, like they're gonna just click on whatever they see. They're not gonna like look for stuff.
I mean,
So
I know it's a different experience for different people, but at the same time, like, yeah, it's just it's weird how YouTube can be so yo-yo, I guess, or so up and down when
yeah,
it comes to this kind of stuff. Like, I can tell you right now, like for me personally, you know, this channel recently hit 2,000 subs, which I cannot tell
yeah,
you guys how much I love and appreciate that or whatnot.
that's pretty good.
I mean, I'm impressed with it as well. Plus, I had set a goal earlier this year that I brought down to 2,000, but whenever I hit 2K, I'm letting my community decide what my first tattoo should be. So that should be fun.
Oh,
Uh, like it's not like
be careful with it.
oh no, like we've already gotten through like the little preliminary period of like, hey, you guys recommend me designs or whatnot. Now I got like the top 4 that I'm putting into like a Google poll, and I'm gonna be like, all right, go here, vote for the official thing. Like whatever you guys pick from here, it's good. Like I got the recommendations, I got them filtered out. Don't worry. But back to what I was saying, like I have 2,000 subs when it comes to this channel, but like most of my videos, like I'd be lucky. I've been really good recently, oddly enough, but I'd be lucky if some of those videos even hit like 100 views. Like my graph that I have that you're talking about, I think it's usually on like 80% of the people that watch these videos or whatnot aren't subscribed to the channel. And I think part of it is
Yeah,
I think part of it is just how I brand myself, it being a podcast or whatnot, but also like. I can't help but think part of it has to be YouTube because considering the fact that I'm trying to interview like a lot of similar artists and a lot of similar people
hmm
that people from previous episodes would love and appreciate. So,
yeah,
yeah,
like kind of a mixed bag almost.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, like I don't personally do this strictly for the YouTube views and for the money or whatnot because I'm getting to have cool conversations with cool artists such as yourself. I've been loving this conversation. But part of me is also like, could you just like just give it a little bit more? Like, just please, just let more
Yeah.
people see it, you know? uh, but in fact, speaking of platforms, if I may, actually no, I'm gonna ask this first. I know you kind of mentioned that you haven't really started on episode 3 just yet, but you did say also that you kind of have like what 10 concepts that you may have in mind, or 10 episodes that you'd
Hmm.
like to do for this. What should people expect from GameCade, moving forward? Like, I'm assuming just more or less the same hilarious gags that we got from, say,
Yeah.
episode 2.
Yeah. I don't know if the episodes would get longer or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I'm gonna have like a consistency with them, but like, uh, I'd love production to get a little faster if I get more hiring on people. I
There
don't
you go.
know. We'll experience how that goes, but uh, it's just goofy. Just pretty much just goofy. But at some point, I think it's going to be like one of the, I drew a little image for myself where it's like the guy looking, the little meme format where it's the guy looking at something. It's like, oh, this is this, and like the true meaning is going over their head where it
Right.
shows going. I kind of did that with like a guy looking at Goose like, oh, silly cat, and like the true meaning is like, oh yeah, there's like, people with like, I guess like the true, like I'll delve into it, but I think it's not intentionally like, oh, sad, but like
Mm-hmm.
I think even like it's kind of like relating to me where like or and a lot of people where like I think I'm gonna delve into the characters where it's just like um a lot of people don't really know what they want to do and
Okay.
like they kind of feel small in the world. I think I'm gonna explore that with like mainly the character Beth and then like her involvement with Nance and then I like I would love to develop the characters more like I definitely have more some characters more fleshed out than others so as like the it'll be like in the format where like the episodes are still goofy, but then all of a
Right.
sudden you kind of notice like, wait a minute, there's some like bits that make me frown.
It's
But
it's like the classic, Saturday morning sitcom when the music gets set like dramatic three-tone notes or what, or like the music even
yeah,
just like goes away and the character has like a heart-to-heart conversation or whatnot.
hmm
Like,
like even like Adventure Time where like there's a lot of silly episodes, but then like some random like there's sometimes like a moment in there that like actually has like like a character development that does like push the series along.
right.
Um, I would love to do that. Uh, but we'll see how far everything gets.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I will say though, like just even hearing that, especially with the characters that you have ready on hand or whatnot with
Hmm.
GameCade and whatnot, like I'd love to see how you'd be able to tackle that. I think that'd be really cool with
Yeah,
just the lovely cast that you got going forward and such.
yeah.
But now, if I may, speaking of things that we'd like to do potentially going forward, if I may, NCS, I want to give you more or less the dream scenario with this next question, if I may. Let's say I am Big Shot Mr. Moneybags. I come to you and I'm like, look, my guy, you are doing fantastic stuff. We've seen what you've been able to do despite what YouTube may want you to believe. We've seen this stuff and we know there's some incredible stuff you could potentially do here. You just need that extra, push, a little extra platform to get you to that next level more than anything else. We have access to everyone and anyone in whatever field possible, and more money there should be possible. We really should be compensating the animators right now. They're currently trying to get better wages, healthcare, all stuff like that. Hashtag Sam with animation, but we'll focus on them in a little bit. We promise. We promise. We will get to them soon. Right now, we're focusing on you and you alone. If given this opportunity, what would be the dream NCS artist project?
Uh, money.
Money. All right, that's a good start. We'll just toss a few your way.
Wait. Uh, I guess just like I mean, again, when I said like in the past earlier when uh like I guess everyone has this where like everyone's kind of scared of the future, not really sure like what they want to do. I'm kind of at that at the moment.
Okay.
Like uh like I would love to keep making episodes and then eventually like make Wagon Thieves into something that's more fleshed out.
Mm-hmm.
I think like I would love again like to just make gamecade and have that like under my portfolio and under my belt, and then like show off Wagon Thieves and like or just like just have like something to show off.
Right.
Because like if you also think about it, like Smiling Friends is kind of that case, right? I don't
Yeah.
like would Smiling Friends even come to be if like Zach and who was the other guy that worked on it? I forgot.
Michael Cusack.
Yeah. Where like would they even have that show created if they didn't have like the amount of stuff they have under their belt already?
Right.
And yeah, if like what they like the people that I talked about who have worked with Glitch before said what they said is true about like, oh yeah, they do sometimes have openings. I would love to like offer Wagon Thieves at some point. I think that would be really fun, depending on like how far I get with Gamecade.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like the idea of like originally like I was thinking like, oh yeah, like 2D animation, but I think it would be fun um if it is picked up by Glitch, like a mix of like 3D and 2D animation would really be fun. But
Mm-hmm.
like just normal models, but like drawn on like 2D animation over top of them
Okay.
would be fun. But again, that's like who knows? I don't really share my voice on YouTube. I'm just kind of a meme creator at the moment who's made only two original projects. So
I mean, so
yeah,
far.
yeah, so far. So like I just kind of want to like keep trying at that. I mean, nothing's easy. You're not just gonna instantly get famous like a lot of people. Unless unless you say Huck to into the mic and make millions and
Okay.
start a Bitcoin and pull the rug under people's feet on
I'll say,
a
look,
money scandal and
look, as someone that has been making a podcast for over 4 years now, and to have this woman say Haktua and then decide to make a podcast afterwards, no, I'm not a little bit salty. I mean, no, I will say, in all honesty, up until the Bitcoin thing, I was not mad at her because it's like she just said a random thing and people were just giving her
yeah,
money more or less. She was just taking advantage. She was getting the bank. She was getting that bag. And then the Bitcoin stuff happened. I'm like, okay, now we see how much of a sack of shit you are. Um, um,
yeah,
and honestly, I was gonna say like what you kind of more or less answered right there was kind of the next question I had, which is, you can address this still if you want, or if your answer is even good enough. But where you hope to kind of see yourself next 5 to 10 years, where you hope to see yourself more than anything else. I mean, I imagine just all that cool stuff, just getting the opportunity to make more and just kind of do some cool stuff, even if it's like with Glitch or otherwise. Like, I imagine that's a good thing that you'd love to just aspire for at the end of the day.
yeah, pretty much. Like, I I seeing myself in the future, I'm not sure, but I mean, I think like uh, there's always a saying like live in the moment,
Yeah.
see what happens. Again, like as I said, like I didn't imagine any of this stuff happening to me. Like if my little younger self saw me,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm sure like I'd be like, "Whoa, how'd that happen?" But um yeah, it's you kind of everyone just kind of has to take one thing at a time.
Right.
But there are points where you do have to push yourself. Like if I didn't push myself after leaving college to make something, I probably wouldn't have met all these people that I've met, and like I wouldn't be where I am right at the moment.
Right.
So, like, uh, I am in the state of limbo where I'm not really sure. Like maybe what would be nice is an apartment where I can continue doing where what I'm doing
There you go.
and just like making I've like when I was working on GameCade, I was actually able to make like simple little animations in between,
Mm-hmm.
which probably wasn't the greatest idea. It definitely slowed progress down,
I
but
mean,
but you gotta feed YouTube something. I don't know.
right. You gotta feed
I get
YouTube
my
something.
$2 from YouTube.
I'll say you gotta feed YouTube something so that YouTube can marginally help feed you.
Yeah, and like just build up an audience a little more.
Hmm.
But ever since, June and like all of a sudden like YouTube's just kind of lost interest in showing my stuff, like that kind of dropped. But we just keep fighting through it. But yeah,
I get that. I get that. I mean, honestly, I could just I would like to hope for the best, if nothing else for you, because I mean you've done so much incredible stuff so far. If I can, if
thank you.
yeah, if I could hype you up just a little bit more right here.
Just be my hype man.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I'll be your hype man a little bit. I'd be more than happy to do that. But as we start to wind down the interview, I just have one last question that I really want to ask you. Obviously, you are
Hmm.
deeply entrenched in art in one form or fashion at this point, and it's gonna be really hard to take you away from it. I can imagine.
Yeah.
How important is art, not just for you, but for the world as a whole?
Oh, super important. Like, the world would not be what it is at the moment or look how it looks
Mm-hmm.
without art. Like, the fact that like people are pushing AI and like all this stuff is pretty insulting because it's like
Yeah.
I don't even think like companies even realize like you wouldn't be where you are without artists. Like even like AI bros who like say like, "Oh, artists, you gotta just accept that this is how things are now." It's like, dude, you wouldn't like trucks wouldn't look the way they look. Like billboards wouldn't look the way they look. Buildings wouldn't look the way like artists are in everything. And
Mm-hmm.
like really what art is just the creative mind and like just how people's creativities to make things and just like envisions and stuff like writers and like voice actors, designers, just I mean anything's really design mainly like and for people to say like oh well I pick up AI because I can't do those things. It's like, well, that's kind of bullshit because like anyone can do that shit. Like again, with me saying in the past, like earlier with like PewDiePie,
Yeah.
like he was able to prove that like, oh yeah, you can do this in like 100 days. Like you can teach yourself, and like hell, I could literally just stop like animating and just put my studies into voice acting and probably get better at that. I could
Yeah.
become like a 3D modeler if I wanted to. Like people can learn anything. And I think it's mainly like how far you want to take that learning is what really kind of hinders you. Um, but like again, yeah, like the world would not look how it is without creative minds and artists. Like it's everywhere. Like it's the cups in your room, it's just the posters, it's the
Mm-hmm.
blinds, it's your bed, it's like it's everything. Like I mean, so yeah, it's kind of insulting that like AI is getting as scary as it is and people aren't illegalizing it. Because I mean like there was recently I forgot what it was where it was a demonstration on Twitter like how like AI can now replicate like like real world videos one to one. It's like, dude, we're in 2 years from now, you're gonna be seeing like YouTubers like sitting down in front of the camera and saying, "Guys, those videos weren't real. They were AI. I
Yep.
never said that." It's
Yep.
like, it's gonna it'll get scarier. Like if we don't do something about it. I mean, there's also like that fight like that strike that's going on with like animators at the moment.
Yes.
The animators guild, and I don't know where they're at right now with that, but I hope they succeed. And
Mm-hmm.
same thing with like the writers, uh, that got their. I don't know if they really won, but they managed to settle with something with corporations.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, we just art like at this point is really hard for a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not afraid to say that like I think we're definitely getting into a time where becoming an artist is going to be harder. Like
Yeah.
I'm certain there will be like kids who grow up in this generation that like pick up AI
Yeah.
because they don't want to try and like draw down what's in their head
Mm-hmm.
because drawing is like, oh, it's too hard, quote unquote. this thing will just generate it.
Right.
Like, again, AI art isn't good. You can easily tell what's AI, and it's like, I don't think it'll ever be good. It shouldn't replace people because like that. I mean, we would be regurgitating the same shit like over the years if we did that.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think like even with it's really cool that like there's just a bunch of like artists that are just becoming independent now. But I guess that is also scary because like a lot of people are now becoming independent and have to work and like kind of rely on like other people's support. I mean, at the moment, like I'm getting most of my funding from like makeshift plushes, Patreon, and like YouTube. So I mean, yeah, I mean, like a lot of artists kind of rely on like the viewers, and like I think viewers should definitely be, like proud of themselves for like, just watching like any creator, really, any like creator, like just supporting anyone just helps because a lot of people nowadays are becoming more independent and want to make their own standing. And I think like honestly, like people always ask me, well, what's the meaning of life? For me, I say it's just the meaning of life is just getting your footprint down and just
Yep.
making something and just, having something out there, being remembered for something. I think that's just great for anyone to strive for. And I know like not everyone is going to have that mentality and like they're gonna like worry like, oh, what if I can't? It's like, well, you gotta have to strive for it because it's not just gonna instantly come onto a platter. Yeah, I don't know,
No,
but overall, AI bad,
yep.
human strive for better.
I think
But
that is wonderfully worded, if I do say so
thank
myself.
you.
No, I will say, no, in all seriousness, like, the AI stuff, trust me, I cannot tell you how much I have that same fear. And obviously, I've talked to so many artists as well, and how many of them have that exact same fear, if not, more so, with what could be possible with that. And, when it comes to, like, the last little bit that you're saying, like, the meaning of life, I've always had that mentality of, at least for me, to kind of leave this place better than you entered it. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean you have to come in here and you have to find the cure for cancer. Though, if you can, please do.
Yeah,
Um, but like, like, for example, for what you do, you're able to make people's days a little bit better, provide some fun entertainment, as silly as simple as it may be, and you genuinely do a good job making people's lives better in one form or fashion. With me, what I hope to do with what I'm doing with this, I hope to give people an opportunity to hear people that they love and hopefully help inspire them to go forth
yeah,
and make the art that they love and the animation that they want to go forth. Be that animator that you want to do. Write that novel or that story that you want to do. Body slam a motherfucker if you want to get into wrestling and shit. That kind of stuff.
yeah.
But
You gotta take the leap, Miles. That's all it
you
is.
gotta take the leap. But like I said, that is wonderfully worded, if I do say so myself.
Yeah,
And NCS, I've already showered you with a whole bunch of praise, but
yeah.
I'm gonna shower you with a little bit more because it's my podcast. I do what I want.
Thank you, thank you. And I think it's cool that you're like interviewing all these artists and like I
Oh,
mean there's tons of different people who've worked on different stuff and like different formats of artists and
yeah.
like yeah, I think it's cool that like you've been able to talk to so many different people and like got like their visions from stuff and like their ideals and like
Yeah.
what they have visions for. And I'm sure that's like, formed your brain like, okay, like how should I expect like what should I expect from this person or like I don't know, but like not expect, but like, how is this person different and like, because everyone has different stories,
No, exactly.
everyone does.
No, absolutely. I mean, hell, your story today was, while there are definitely a lot of similarities with some people with how they've kind of gotten into stuff and how they take that next
Hmm.
step forward or whatnot, yours is still wholly unique with the way you've been able to, from where you've been raised when it comes to your family and such, to going forth and the inspirations you've had, going forth and just making these like fun memes, these cool, silly shit posts at the end of the day that again are just great when it comes to the humor that I cannot get enough of when I see your videos, or like with what you've been able to put forth with your vision when it comes to gamecade. I mean, I I cannot tell you how much I have loved and endured your videos for years now. And like I said at the beginning of this thing, and here I will say right now, the fact that I get a chance to even talk to you, let alone get the opportunity to spend these past, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours, however long we've been talking, just to get to know more about you and to see like see the kind of person, see the kind of love you kind of have for this stuff. I cannot tell you how much I love and appreciate this time, and I cannot tell you how much I am excited for whatever may happen next for you, because I know you have, how should I word this? I know you have a lot of good intentions, and I know you have a lot of good ideas. You know, stewing, you know, they may not be at the forefront, but like, I'm excited to see whatever may happen next, whether it be with whatever silly meme you're going to be cooking up within the next couple weeks or whatnot, you know, for the next episode of Gamecade, whenever it comes out or whatnot, for whenever you decide to get Wagon Thieves off the ground and actually like do something forward with that. I'm excited for any and all that stuff because you've done so phenomenal so far. You've done an amazing job really helping making this world a better place. I genuinely mean that, and I cannot thank you not only for what you've been able to do, but for taking the time to be here to chat about this stuff. And I hope you know that I am going to be rooting for you every single step of the way, no matter what you're going to be doing, because it's been great to see what you have been able to do so far. So thank you for what you do, and please keep up the awesome work, man.
And thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
I mean,
I've gotten like positive comments before, but I don't think I've really gotten it like verbally. So thank you.
That's one of the pleasures I really try to do with this podcast. You know, because I know, like, you know, obviously for someone that's trying to do content himself as whatnot, or you know,
Yeah.
seeing it versus hearing it is like two different things. Obviously, you're gonna take it to heart no matter what, but it's always additionally reaffirming, I should say, to kind of have that, like, you know, verbal, you know, audio, like, enter the brain, then like see it on a screen and like interpret it how you will, you know. But regardless, thank you for your kind words as well. Like, it genuinely means a lot to hear you say that, because, you know, when it comes at the end of the day with this podcast, you know, like I said, I don't make a whole lot of money off of this thing. I do it because I get to have cool conversations that hopefully I can turn around and inspire a lot of incredible people to make their own art. So I really do genuinely appreciate your words. Now, if people want to know why I've been gushing about this entire time and have not already been following you, which, I mean, come on, why have you not already? I mean, for God's sakes, you hear me gushing about this guy. Go ahead and plug your stuff for the people at home. Where can people find more of your stuff?
Just NCS at art. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Sorry. NCS_artist, pretty much. I mean, like, if you just type that into Google, I'm sure it'll just put everything. I mean, on Twitter, YouTube, Blue Sky, TikTok, if you even care about that place. I'm pulling up my links, and Instagram. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I've made Newgrounds, but I mainly just post like the shorts way later than I do on YouTube. So, but yeah, if you just type in NCS artist on YouTube or Google, you'll find me. I'm sure you'll just look for the really weird sketches and purple creature that you probably see on the screen now.
There you go. Go. And I'll be sure to have those links to some in the description below. I'll even be sure to link the second episode of Gamecade in
the second one.
Yes, the second episode in the description. All right, I got you covered there.
Oh, thank God.
And also, before we do sign off, I do want to do one last little thing, because I know you kind of hinted at it a little bit earlier, but I'm gonna guess your name.
All right.
I'm gonna guess this stands for never confiscating snakes.
Good enough.
Okay, fair enough. There you go, people.
That is close.
That's close. Do you have any final words? Oh, sorry, go on.
I've tried making like a thing with that with like the new logo with like the little I've tried doing a spin on like citrus snake with the CS on it,
Okay.
but the real meaning, who knows what it is.
Who knows what it is? The only person
I
that
do. I don't know.
I'll
Nobody
say
else does.
the only person that knows isn't gonna say a word about it. I'll tell you that much.
This
Do you have any final words before we do sign off?
uh keep striving for what is in your brain. Creativity is important, and um just keep doing what you want to do. If you have an idea, chase it. You can clearly see there are many people nowadays being inspired by others and making.
Mm-hmm.
I know I sure have. That's how I got here.
Yep.
Start out in your community. Doesn't have to be any specific community, just one that like you can relate to people. Find people you can talk to and just interact and yeah, just be you
There you go.
if you're an artist, but if you're just enjoy artists' work because they enjoy your support as much as they enjoy supporting you, like this
Exactly.
conversation.
Exactly. Exactly. And with that, all I have left to say is for the people at home, if you can, please pay your artists.
Yay, please.
Tell me what's wrong, tell me sparks in motion. Sing me a song, tell me your eyes can all open. Show me it all, pick me up in the car you drove when you used to call. Show me it all.
Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If this is your first time listening, I greatly do appreciate it. Like I said in the intro, man, this was certainly a cool vibe when it comes to the podcast or whatnot. NCS, if you've gotten up to this point, thank you sincerely for taking the time to do this. This was an absolute blast and a real surreal experience at the end of the day. I think that's just kind of a good way to just wrap up how 2024 has been for me. It's been a lot of really surreal experiences, for better or for worse, if I could be blunt. Um, Seeing the growth we've been able to have as a podcast, the incredible wealth of people that we were able to have this year alone is insane. Like I'm still blown away by some of the shit I was able to do and some of the strings I was able to pull. Um, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm always gonna be appreciative and loving of what we're able to accomplish when it comes to this podcast, and this past year is certainly no exception of that. I mean, thinking to all the guests that we've had, all the different opportunities that we've been able to do, all sorts of different aspects when it comes to milestones and such that we've been able to hit. Like 2024 is certainly going to be a year to remember in the long term lineage of the podcast. And it makes me both excited but also scared with how next year is going to be. Obviously, going into it, there's a lot of concerns that a lot of people have for certain aspects of it, but, there also is a lot that could be led when it comes to the positivity we could be bringing forward into the new year. That's the mentality that I hope we can bring into the new year, because we already know mentally for a lot of us, like, it's already a chalked year based on the big thing that's going to be happening in January. But I feel like despite what could potentially come with that, there's still a lot of opportunities for us to continue to grow and continue to support each other more than anything else. And again, help this community grow. I know it's hard to be optimistic sometimes. I know it's hard to be holly and jolly, especially around this time of the year when you're supposed to be quote unquote holly and jolly. But 2024 was a lot for us, but it was also a lot of good things for us. let's strive to make 2025 better. I mean, for the podcast aspect alone, I've said in an episode of Get Connected that should be out soon. I don't know. Iris is dealing with her own stuff, and I don't blame her. But there should be an episode coming out soon that has basically my New Year's resolution for the upcoming year. But I also have, just general goals and such. I have my vision on how I want to be by the end of next year. And if it goes the way I hope it does, it's going to be a big year for you guys. It's going to be a big year for everyone. I just hope that growth, that love and positivity that I'm hoping to implement when it comes to the podcast is something that could be reciprocated or at least taken and put upon when it comes to you guys and your everyday lives. Because I know every day can be a struggle sometimes. I know there are times where it seems like it's so frustrating, whatever you're doing. But just know that whether it's myself or the people around you or whatnot, we care. We want to see the incredible year that 2025 can be. So let's make it something insane. Let's make it incredible. Let's make it the best year known to man. Let's see what we can accomplish next year.